Ahoy hoy fellow bookworms, my name is Caroline and I like to read books, so let's talk about them. Today's video is going to be a full and spoiler-free review of Warcross by Marie Lu. This book was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. It was recommended for fans of Ready Player One because it also takes place in a virtual reality setting, and although I did quite enjoy it, I was left a little disappointed and gave it 3 out of 5 stars. To quickly sum up the plot for you guys, basically Warcross takes place in a not too distant future where there's been the invention of these virtual reality glasses, and when you're wearing these glasses you can participate in a game called Warcross, which is pretty simple but also very addictive and has kind of taken the world by storm. And we follow our main character Amika Chen, who is a Chinese American hacker and bounty hunter, and her job is to track down people who have been illegally betting on Warcross games and bring them to justice in the real world. One day she finds herself unable to pay rent and facing eviction, so she decides to take what is a massive risk and hack into the opening game of the Warcross World Championships, and in doing so she kind of glitches herself into the game and then goes viral and then gets contacted by the creator of Warcross, a guy named Hideo Tanaka, who actually offers her a job because he has a security issue in the Warcross World Championships and needs someone to go undercover in the games, and he wants it to be her. And then the story kind of goes from there. This is going to be a pros and cons review like all of my reviews are, but before I really got into things, I did just kind of want to put like a little disclaimer type thing and say that while I was planning this review, I found it super fucking hard to come up with any pros for Warcross. Yes, I enjoyed this book, I found it really entertaining and fun to read, but it's been over a week since I finished it, and I just find that there's nothing that really stood out about it. The writing and the characters and the world were all good, but none of them were particularly remarkable, and that's why this book only got 3 out of 5 stars for me. With that in mind, the first pro I want to mention is our main character, Amika. I thought she was such a fucking badass, and I quite liked her character, but I will say that there is still room for her to grow in the next book. There was a few things I really liked about her. I liked that she was such a mature character and that we got glimpses into her past to see why she was such a mature character. I liked that she was assertive and driven and passionate. I liked that she was a hacker because that's such a stereotypically male profession, and I liked that she was good at what she did, like she was the best at what she did. I thought she was just a really cool character, but I also liked that she was able to unwind. She was quite funny, she had a really cool sense of humor. I thought she was a really well-developed character, and I liked that she was also flawed, so I'm interested to see what happens with her character in the future, but I did really enjoy reading about her. Second pro I want to mention is aspects of the world building, and I only want to mention aspects because a lot of the time there were things that would get mentioned and I'd be like, ooh, and get really excited, and then it would just never get mentioned again, and it was kind of disappointing. But then there were other things like the virtual reality glasses and Warcross and the game itself that were really well done, and I was actually really interested by them. I quite enjoyed the descriptions of, you know, the actual playing of the Warcross games because everything was really vivid and I could imagine myself being there. I also really enjoyed everything to do with the virtual reality glasses and their capabilities apart from just like putting you in that world, because they do have other things they can do, and I just thought everything to do with that was really clever and well thought out and just really interesting. On to the cons now, and I do have a few that I want to mention, the first one being the predictability of the story. This book was kind of marketed as a sci-fi thriller, so I was expecting, you know, a lot of twists and turns in the story, and there were twists and turns, but none of them really surprised me, and I found that really disappointing. I think there's definitely a lot of readers who would find this incredibly entertaining despite the fact that it's predictable, and I mean, I still found it quite entertaining, but I was just a little bummed by the fact that it was meant to be really thrilling and I was finding it really predictable, and it was especially disappointing when I predicted like the big twist at the ending because that really ruined it for me. So it is still an enjoyable and entertaining read, but I did find the story really predictable and formulaic in a way. Con number 2 on this list is the complete lack of development for all of the side characters. In my pros, I listed a lot of things that I liked about Amika's character because I feel like I know Amika reasonably well, and I could probably do the same for Hideo because, again, I feel like we got to know him reasonably well. But then we have this cast of side characters that I literally know nothing about. I mean, I do kind of assume that we're going to see more of them in the next book, but I shouldn't have to wait for the second book in a series to learn more about side characters. Like, that shouldn't happen, and we did learn like tiny bits and pieces about them, but it wasn't enough. It was very clear that the whole story was about Amika and Hideo, and they were just there. And that was really not great for me. I feel like I've said disappointing a million times, so I just tried not to say it, but it was disappointing. was really disappointing. Third con that I want to mention is the writing, and I feel like there's a few things that fit under this umbrella term, and this might turn into a bit of a ramble, but bear with me. One thing that really annoyed me was how repetitive her writing could be, and this is really only a small complaint, but once I noticed this, it was bothering me so much, and it was just that she repeated herself so much in regards to Emika's rainbow hair. Emika has rainbow hair, it's fine. If you mention it at the start of the book when we're introduced to Emika, I'm going to remember it because I think rainbow hair is super fucking cool, but it was like every time Emika's hands went anywhere near her face, if she put her hair in a ponytail, if she tucked her hair behind her ear, if it was even slightly windy, it was like Emika's hair, her rainbow hair did this, her hands went near her rainbow hair, and I was like, I get it! She has rainbow hair, oh my god. The writing in Warcross was just really disappointing for me. I had been told so many times that Marie Lu's writing was like the most amazing and beautiful thing ever, and I'll admit that there was some really beautiful moments, especially when like Emika is reflecting on memories with her father. Those moments were really strong and really lyrically beautiful, and I loved them, they were excellent. But there wasn't the consistency, and there were other moments that were incredibly vague and just not good. What I found incredibly frustrating was this vagueness, especially in regards to Emika's hacking, and I'm not saying I wanted like page-long descriptions of how to hack into a virtual reality system, because I don't, that would be so boring to read, but I wanted more than what we got, because a lot of the time what we got was just a sentence or two like, and then Emika hacked in and she bypassed security and she took the information she wanted and then she logged off. And that was it. I was just always left wanting more, because when so much of your book is based around hacking, there should be a decent description about the actual hacking process. Like, it doesn't have to be big and technical, but it should be more than just like the words "she hacked the computer" or something. Like, that's not adequate. That brings us to the end of this review though, guys. If you have also read Warcross, be sure to let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments. I upload videos Wednesdays, Saturdays, and sometimes Mondays as well, so be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Toodaloo!